How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Sick Eric Tech. Today we're going to be talking about the Galaxy S23 and my 3 weeks of using this. Going on 3 weeks, give or take. And I have some thoughts about this. And spoiler alert, a lot of them are good. Definitely an upgrade from last year's Galaxy S22. As far as upgrading to this, I would only suggest it if you were to upgrade from an S22 or an S21 and do a trade-in and get some discount off of this, because we'll go over that in a little bit. But definitely a huge upgrade, but there are some caveats compared to this to the Ultra that I think Samsung is doing a little shady stuff here. But let's go ahead and get started. Before we do, go ahead and subscribe and click that bell icon that we get notified on future videos just like the one you're about to watch today. So I did make a little cheat sheet of things that I have concerns about or just thoughts of the Galaxy S23. So first and foremost is going to be the design and the build. This thing is beautiful. This is definitely the iPhone of Samsung right here, with the flatter edges and the flatter sides along the side of this. I do wish this could have been stainless steel. That would have been cool, but then again, that probably would have bumped up the price by about $100, knowing Samsung to justify that higher price tag. But it is beautiful, it's clean, it's sleek, and it's compact. For most people, that is okay. We'll go over that in a little bit, but it is smaller, definitely more compact. The bezels, as you can see, pretty slim on here. It's a beautiful, nicely built phone. It feels excellent. You get Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the front and on the back. I believe it's Victus 2, and it feels good in the hands. But we'll go on over to some other stuff on that as well. Now going on over to the display. Beautiful display, guys. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's a smaller display, 6.1 inches. It is a 1080p display at 120 hertz. So considering that it is smaller, you're going to get a more denser PPI on here. So images are going to look very, very sharp. And like I said, the bezels on here are very, very small. You get just your little tiny hole punch cutout for your camera. And other than that, it's a beautiful, bright display. Definitely gets bright enough outdoors for outdoor use, and you know, being able to see this in sunlight and visibility definitely gets bright enough. And this is a really beautiful, bright display. No issues with the display. Again, with Samsung phones, that's pretty much a given when it comes down to a lot of Samsung phones. They have very good displays. Now going on over to the speakers. Man, the speakers on here are very loud. They get loud enough to where you can hear if you're in a crowded area and you don't have your Bluetooth earbuds. You can listen to speakers on here, and they do sound really, really good. You get a whole bunch of different options for Dolby Atmos. You get audio, movie, and music and voice. And these speakers are freaking amazing. You got your bottom firing speaker right here, and your earpiece is going to be your secondary speaker. So let's go ahead and do a listen and hear how these speakers sound. So what did you guys think of the speaker quality of the Galaxy S23? I think it sounds really good. Samsung definitely knocked it out of the park with these speakers. Again, just like with any other Samsung phone, they do really, really good. So going on over to the cameras. Now these are very solid cameras, minus that extra zoom capability that you might be getting on a Galaxy S22 Ultra or the new Galaxy S23 Ultra. but do you really need it? The camera zoom on here is actually really good. I think it's 3 times optical zoom on here. You can zoom all the way up to 30 times, but it's going to be digital zooming, and the pictures don't look too great. I suggest going up to 10. Will have a decent picture when you zoom all the way up to 10, but the camera quality and the video quality is really good. As far as stabilization goes, with super steady mode, you are now upgraded to QHD compared to the 1080p on other smartphones and the Galaxy S22 Ultra. Now the S23 Ultras are updated as far as that super steady mode using QHD over 1080p, and it does make a difference. Low light, it tends to dim the video a little bit more when using super steady mode, but during the day and in very good lighting conditions, the video quality on here is really good. The stabilization, definitely an upgrade from last year. Pictures are solid. They come out really good with really great dynamic range, very bright, punchy colors, not too saturated like you would expect from any other Samsung phone. Yeah, they got some saturation on there, but it's really not that bad compared to other phones. But the picture quality and the photos taken on the Galaxy S23, definitely a solid camera. I would definitely recommend these cameras. They're very good when it comes down to taking pictures and video. No complaints there. Going on over to battery life. So battery life on here, I don't have any, technical specs as far as screen on time and all of that stuff. I just go by usage, and you could definitely get a full day's worth out of this. You get a 3900 milliamp hour battery compared to the 3700 from last year's Galaxy S22, and compared with this new Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor, definitely way better battery life than last year. The S22 from last year was horrible when it came down to battery life. I did not like that phone whatsoever. It was just a horrible phone, and this definitely an upgrade when it comes down to battery life. Going on over a full night at work of streaming music all night long and watching some videos and stuff. By the time my 8-hour or 9-hour day at work is done, I'm left with about 50%, in between 50 and 40% of battery life, and that's streaming 5G connected all the time. Definitely a huge upgrade when it comes down to that over last year's Galaxy S22. Now going on over to the software this side. You get Samsung's One UI 5.0, a lot of different functionality on here, a lot of customizations, and you get Android 13 right out of the box, so that is very good. Performance on here has been pretty good for the most part when it comes down to the software. I do think Samsung is dumbing down the Galaxy S23 compared to the Ultra. It's just little things when this phone warms up a little bit, but it does not, keep in mind, it does not do it often, but when it does, things tend to load a little bit slower on here when opening certain apps, and for the life of me, I cannot use Power Director. Every time I go into Power Director and try to edit a video on here, it crashes on me when there's too much going on for some reason. Even the Galaxy S22 from last year, I could shoot video and edit on Power Director like a boss. It handled it pretty well. But on here, whenever I shoot a video and then go on to edit it, Power Director always tends to crash, and then everything else tends to load a little bit slower once this phone does heat up. Now, like I said, it doesn't do it very often. The cooling on here is definitely a lot better from last year, but when it does do it, things tend to get a little bit laggy on here that I've noticed. Definitely a huge improvement from last year, but still, when it does start to lag, you'll know the difference on here. And another thing that I noticed on here was the signal in certain locations, mainly at work. Honestly, every other device I have no issues with the 5G signal. With this one, I go to work, every now and then it will cut off, and when it cuts off from 5G, nothing works. I can't send text messages, I can't watch videos, I can't do anything when it comes down to data. And then all I have to do is go into settings, switch to 4G, and then switch back to 5G, and then everything will bring back up. 4G LTE works really good, but for some reason in that location, on this phone only, the 5G tends to cut out and you really can't do anything. There's been times where I couldn't send text messages on here. I couldn't do anything data related on this phone. Rebooting it fixed the problem, but then every now and then it happens again. So signal on here a little bit sketchy when it comes down to this device. Now, one of the things that I did talk about earlier was the compact size. For me, this is a very small phone. I like really big phones, and most people want a compact phone, but for me, I prefer my phones to be a little larger when using this. And then going on over to my Galaxy S22 Ultra or my LG V60, those are behemoths after using this phone just because it's so small. But on the good side, this is a very compact device. It will fit in your pocket with no problems. You'll even forget it's there. It's lightweight, and like I said, for most people, they like that. For me, I prefer larger phones, and that's a problem that I had with last year's S22. It was just too darn small. And for this one, I feel like, yeah, it's a little small compared to my big hands. I prefer a larger phone, but to each his own. Like I said, a lot of people like compact over big devices. So another thing is the price. I do think this should have been priced at $699 to compete with Pixel and other devices, OnePlus 11. That would have been phenomenal if this was priced just a little lower. Sure, you could probably get this cheaper with trade-ins, but the base price for this is $799. And this is the 256 variant. I got this from T-Mobile, and they have some good deals as well. But I think this should have been priced at $699 rather $799, and then maybe price the Plus at $799, and then the Ultra at whatever it is, $1,200. This thing would have sold like hotcakes. I guarantee you, this was a little bit cheaper at the base price at $699. That would have been great, and with their included trade-ins, this thing would have been a steal when it comes down to pricing. So yeah, a little bit higher on the price. I would have preferred a lower price tag on here. So again, we talk about this all the time, is the accessories in the box. These boxes are getting so small and minimal nowadays. All you do get is just a phone, some paperwork, and a cable, and that's it. We need to start getting chargers back into the box. Granted, these chargers do not, or these phones do not charge at crazy speeds. I believe it's 45 watts, but still having that charger in the box with everything to go along with it would be phenomenal. I don't see why we can't bring that back. Just a nitpick. So as far as upgrading, like I said, I would only suggest doing it if you were to upgrade from last year or the S21. So far, this phone has been phenomenal. No issues other than the performance issues every now and then. Battery life has been actually quite pleasant on here. Does it last longer than an LG V60? No, it does not. But still, battery life has been pretty solid on here, and I'm impressed. I do not find myself running out of juice anytime soon. It can definitely get you through a day's worth of usage. And the design on here is actually quite beautiful. A little small for my taste, but still, for most people, like I said, they do like compact devices. And I think this has been a solid upgrade from last year, especially in performance. For the most part, performance on here is phenomenal. It's fast, it's snappy, no issues with anything. When it does tend to act up, you're doing a lot on here. Like I find myself recording 15-minute 4K videos, it'll heat up, and then I'll start to see issues with this. Granted, that could happen on any other device, but for this device, there's little things that I've noticed that when it does heat up the few times that it does, it definitely has a performance issue on here. And another thing that I find kind of sketchy on here is when you go into device care and memory, and you go into your RAM Plus, it is automatically defaulted to 8 gigabytes. And pretty much what RAM Plus does is it takes from your internal storage and stores that away as RAM Plus. And if you have a 128 gigabyte model, then yeah, you're going to run out of storage a little bit quicker. But for other devices like the Galaxy S22, I believe the default setting was at 2 or 4 out of the box, and if you wanted to change it, you change it to 8, reboot your phone, but this is automatically at 8. And I think Samsung did that for a purpose, to automatically dial up the settings. That way when you start using this, you're like, whoa, it's snappy. But you got to understand that this was dialed up all the way up to its highest. You can lower it and it does make a little bit of a difference, but not much. But I think it's kind of funny that this was defaulted to 8 GB of RAM plus the 8 GB that you get on here. And like I said, with the Galaxy S22 from last year, I believe it was defaulted at 2 or 4, and then you could up it if you want, just like any other device. So I think it's kind of sketchy that Samsung did that for us, just to give us the illusion that this phone was snappy without any other little side tricks on here. But just keeping that in mind. Other than that, Galaxy S23, fantastic. Upgrade if you're coming from an S21 or an S22 from last year, not from an S22 Ultra. Do not upgrade to this device, but still fantastic. Get some trade-in deals and get a good deal on the Galaxy S23. Thank you guys for watching. If you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down, and I will see you next time here on Sick Eric Tech. Peace.